When you can force a team that's as talented offensively as Carolina into 3 shot clock violations, does that speak to like the level of focus you had at that end of the court?
Yeah, we talked about having an undivided mind today, knowing what we had to do, our best against their best. And we played some really good defense, of course. Guys did a good job individually. And, yeah, some of those, I think the crowd helped with those shot clock violations. And guys did, and again, individual on-ball slides, bothering shots. Obviously, I look at those 19 offensive rebounds, and I thought we lacked at times in that area. But how can you fault the collective team defense? But I want to point out the individual slides bothering the shot for the most part. You saw Barry get going in that stretch and see how dangerous he is.
Yeah, Tony, with regard to getting to the rim, it seemed like you were able to finish in 7 dunks, I think. I mean, what are your thoughts on the offensive performance?
Yeah, you know that stat, and the stats like points in transition, they got a few more than the stats, and no disrespect to our stats keepers, the way we keep them, but we got some turnovers that led to those breakout dunks and plays. And then we had a couple nice offensive plays when we touched the paint and spray out the ball, and we got some threes we missed. But, you know, we did force some turnovers, and those were big for us to get momentum because Carolina, again, can score in bunches, and any of those X-factor points make a huge difference.
Tony, when you're having a conversation with DeAndre Hunter last year about redshirting, what's that like? Does it take place when he gets here, or do you talk to him about it when you're recruiting him? And also,
yep.
What did he improve on over last year? What did he gain from redshirting?
Yeah, no, that wasn't the plan when he came here. He had a high ankle sprain and missed, I don't know if it was 3 weeks or wasn't right as we were getting into the season. And, you know, it was a hard decision because we thought he possibly could have helped us in certain ways, but we thought for his physical maturity and development of his game, his ball skills, his shooting, just going to work like all of our red shirts have, we thought it might be the best, maybe not short term for us, but long term for him. And for us, we thought it was the right decision. So that wasn't the initial plan. And then he went to work on all aspects of his game. But most, of course, you see is the physical part of it. And I thought he was a big lift today. You know, he's playing a little more. We're playing 4 guards with him, and he's able to guard multiple positions, and that's helped us offensively and defensively.
Could you talk about Devin's contributions on a day when Kyle and Ty are 5 for 19?
Yeah, those threes were big. You know, he's different guys, different times. You know, Isaiah and Devin, their veteran senior leadership stands out. And I thought, you know, Dev was frustrated because a couple times Barry beat him outside, but he kept plugging, and he makes guys work to score baskets. But then offensively, we needed that, just like we needed Ty against Boston College to loosen up the defense with some long balls. Devin was certainly doing that today, and mentioned it many times. 7 assists, yeah, a couple nice passes. He puts the work in, so that was a great work for him. Great game.
The lead had gone from 11, it was down to 6 when DeAndre hit that turnaround jumper in the paint. Did you feel that was kind of a pivotal moment? And also, this is the first time he's been on the court at the end of a close game. Was this kind of a big step forward for him today?
I think, you know, when you have first years, any of those experiences are golden. And he made a nice move against Virginia Tech. It was kind of a little spin fadeaway that I thought was terrific. And you know, that versatility at that when we're going with the 4-guard lineup for him to be able to do those things. I remember, you know, we do some. I'm not even going to say what I'm going to say because it'll be misconstrued. But he has some versatility at that spot, and I thought that was a big moment.
Tony, you referenced the 19 turnovers, not a huge number of steals. I know we talked about this a little after the Tech game, but what is it about what you guys are doing defensively that is getting teams to turn it over?
Well, again, we block shots, but active on the ball and trying to really be gap-oriented. That's our pack defense. And then, you know, when you're active on the ball and you know you got help behind you, it allows you to almost get a little more aggressive and try to get deflections and tips. And then when guys are trying to drive hard, sometimes you can plug those gaps and get those kinds of deflections. And then sometimes our ball screen defense or post trap, those things can be more aggressive, turnover-oriented attacks.
Tony, back here, you are 96-3 when holding opponents to 50 points or fewer. You guys have done that multiple times already this year. Just from your standpoint, how quickly has this team grasped the defense, or how well related, to previous seasons is this team playing defensively right now?
Collectively, because of our leadership, Isaiah understands, Jack understands, Devin understands, Ty and Kyle have made strides in that direction. And we talked about not having amnesia after the Virginia Tech game. Don't forget who you are. That's why I said your team defense is your strength. Maybe we did some good stuff individually defensively, but I think they understand they need each other to help each other cover. And Isaiah is just, you talk about the guy who's directing and covers up if a guy's out of position, and the rim protection, I think, has helped our team defense. But they're certainly bought into trying to, and we still obviously left some, they got uncontested shots. They got a little tired, so we've got to keep working. And but I like what I see so far. How can I not?
Tony, you say Isaiah understands. He looked especially effective on May today. All 10 of May's shots looked challenged. Was that your view as well?
Yeah. He was a key. May is a key. Barry's a key. They have some, and actually Kenny did a great job coming back to the home state. He was very good. But I thought the job that Isaiah did, and interesting, DeAndre gave us a little bit of flexibility because he's guarded, think of him guarding Carter against West Virginia, and then he can bother fours that can stretch out and shoot, but he's long enough to guard them inside. So I thought not letting May get a lot of open, uncontested rhythm threes, then you got to press up on him, was effective, and Isaiah understood that. He really took that challenge because we said that guy's a key in this game, and Zay likes challenges defensively for sure.
On a day where Kyle struggled from the field offensively, how big was it for you to see some moxie on the defensive end from him?
Yeah.
And then also, what has been the biggest thing that he's done to make such a leap defensively?
Yeah, I mean, he's gotten stronger, a year under his belt, a year of understanding position, anticipation, and we just kind of chip away at it all the time in practice, what's acceptable defensively, and he works at it. So I think all those things have improved because that's what Eric said when we were walking down here. He said, Ty and Kyle really defend it. They're getting better defensively, and that's important. I thought Ty did a good job too. I mean, we knew we'd get that from the other guys, but that's good.
Coach, we've been talking a lot about the defense, but the assist number is also impressive. Do you get a sense when this team is clicking defensively, they have more focus to find that extra pass, that open shot? Yeah,
I think they're clear, as I said, in their identity, how they play collectively defensively, but same thing on offense. They make the next pass. You have guys who understand their roles. I mean, our three captains were guys that have had to come up as red shirts, spot guys, and then setting screens, making all that stuff. So that leadership, it's like when a company, someone comes from the bottom up, and those guys understand it. They're so willing in their roles to get those guys open, and then our guys are so willing. And I've been blessed to have that with most of my teams, but these guys have really capitalized on their unselfishness as much offensively as defense.
Last question. One of my colleagues made the observation that there wasn't much blue in the crowd today. Talk about your crowd's impact, particularly when you play Carolina.
Yeah, the crowd is great. Students aren't here, but lively crowd. I loved it. I just, this place has become special. I go back to my first years when we couldn't give away tickets, and now I look, and it's I'm very thankful because a lot of people have stuck with us and been faithful, but I have my vision of the first time I looked in there and saw Dave Matthews playing, and I was in my office. I just got the job, and I remember saying someday that, and now we have that, and it's a beautiful sight for us, and our guys enjoy it, and it's a loud crowd. They're an intelligent crowd, seems to be for the most part in terms of rallying their guys when they make the extra pass, the sound defensive play. So good stuff. That was 9 years ago. Yeah, he's every year. So.
You mentioned briefly the 19 offensive rebounds, UNC being who they are. You probably expected some of that, but when they've killed teams, they've got a lot of second chance points off those. They only got 12 today. Just can you talk about how you guys sort of recovered after this?
Yeah, some blocks, and we kind of converged to the ball, and they missed some shots too. I don't know. That part, there's always areas you can improve on, but that. We tried to focus on it. We tried to be continuous in our blockouts to everybody rebound, but it's just like when you tell your kids, put your dishes away, do this. They sometimes forget to be consistent, and and follow through. But that's we were fortunate only to give that many points on that many offensive rebounds.